I'm happy with my physique, but not satisfied because I know I'm capable of so much more. Now, I do appreciate the hard work I've done, and I do think I'm a sexy motherfucker. I would describe myself as lean and aesthetic, but I'm still not yet truly jacked. I would say I'm about 5 kilos of muscle away from earning that status as a natty king. But I don't want to get there by being a fat fuck who stuffs his face and gets really soft. No, I want to do the slowest, most controlled bulk you've ever seen until I get my dream physique. Right now, my biggest weaknesses are my limbs, my arms, my legs. I think my torso is pretty nice, but I have a lot of work to do. As you saw in the title, my goal is to become a lean and jacked, natty savage. So here's the exact daily process I'm following to get there. The alarm goes off at 4 a.m, but the light alarm goes off 10 minutes earlier, so that if I'm in a lighter phase of sleep, this is what wakes me up. Then boom in the cold shower, and straight away after that, I weigh myself, because now it's time to actually track my progress. I've been winging so many of my past quote-unquote bulks where I haven't fully committed to it. I've just been using it as an excuse to eat more sugary bullshit and not track anything and be more loose with what I eat. However, this time we are treating it like a professional, gathering data every single day. And you might be wondering, Matt, a horse dance in the morning? What's that got to do with your gains? It's absolutely nothing. Zero diddly squat to do with bodybuilding, but I'm not a one-dimensional fuck. I want to be well-rounded, savage in multiple areas of life, in as many as I can manage. And this horse dance, it is really good for centering myself, giving me more mental endurance because it's painful, and even more importantly, it allows me to be more calm and still and composed. It's a form of meditation, but it's just a part of my morning process that helps me feel more energized and more aligned rather than just waking up and getting into a frantic rush and starting the day reactively. I start my day mindfully, thoughtfully, and after this I go inside and I do an extra 10 minutes of just normal mindful meditation. I've been sick as a dog for the past week or so, and it's been frustrating because all I want to do is make progress, train like a savage, work towards my goals, create prolifically. And yet, I've been a bit of a whiny little bitch. I've been slacking on my good habits like meditation, being present in the moment, creating content. I've still been doing them sort of half-assedly while I've been sick. I haven't been training because I genuinely needed to recover, and just plunging myself further into debt, like fatigue debt, it just wasn't a good idea. And because I haven't been active physically, I've allowed myself to stagnate mentally. I've spent way more time consuming than creating. My screen time for these past few days has been a bit diabolical, and I'm ashamed to admit it because I've been seeking comfort. I've been using the illness as a reason to step back and be a little bit of a fanny, to be honest with you, and I'm not proud of it. But today is the first day where I've started to feel like noticeably better. I still, obviously, you can hear it, I have a bit of a sore throat, still have a bit of a wheezing cough, but the fever or the head feeling of just heat behind the eyes, it's gone. And to be honest with you, I should have recovered way sooner, because usually when I'm sick, it goes day one, I feel a bit bad, I've started to notice it. Day two, I feel significantly worse. And then day three, I feel a bit better. And then day four, I'm almost fresh as daisy. But this past week has been way slower. And maybe it's just because it's a different illness, different virus, etc., that lasts longer. Or maybe it's a sign that I need to actually start learning a lot more about my immune system, how to strengthen it, and how to become way more impervious to disease. Because periods like these are really annoying to me. I used to genuinely look forward to being sick because it meant I had an excuse to get off work or skip school, because I was a lazy son of a bitch, because I was a comfort-seeking cuck and all I wanted to do was just stagnate and not put in any effort towards any area of life. But now I'm the opposite. Now I love discipline and progress. So now it's the opposite. Now falling sick is a real burden to me, and I really want to do everything I can to reduce how potent these illnesses affect me and how long they affect me for. But anyway, enough of the little pity party tale. It's time to get back into the gym. Today's my first proper weight session back, and I've been so excited for this, man. The fact that I haven't been training has built up all of this elastic energy, because I know that, oh shit, it's coming. Oh, I'm gonna start lifting again, and I'm so pumped for this shit, man. I'm looking forward to it. Yesterday I did my first session of like proper cardio. I got on the Stairmaster for half an hour, set a timer, and didn't check the clock until it went off, which was like a test of my mental and cardio endurance. So that definitely made me feel better, and I feel retarded for not sticking to at least doing cardio every day while I was ill. It's stupid, man. But hey, we live and we learn, right? As long as we actually learn from our mistakes. So with that being said, enough talking, it's time to start lifting. Today we're doing chest and back. So I open with an incline dumbbell press, an absolutely goated classic exercise that there's nothing wrong with. However, my monkey mind almost got away from me. I almost switched this for an incline barbell press, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that exercise, but there is something wrong with making random impulsive decisions to switch things up just based on your feelings. And that's exactly what has held my progress back for years. I should be a lot bigger and stronger by now. I shouldn't be lifting the 40 kilo dumbbells on this exercise. I should be well past the 50s, maybe even smashing the 60s for a few ugly reps. But because I haven't been committed to just sticking to one program, one exercise per slot, and making rotations mindfully, tactically, not emotionally, I'm still, lifting the same weights that I have been for a while. And yes, the form might be better, but I haven't progressed as much as I should have. But anyway, this was the second set of my session because the first set got deleted. My phone storage was full. Now it's time to smash some super wide grip pull-ups. These ones are so much harder than the other variation I do, which is underhand, regular weighted chin-ups, which I can do with 32.5 kilos, and yet now I'm reducing to body weight only and cranking out a painful set of 9 as my first set. And something that has been really, really holding me back, again, is the monkey mind, but when it comes to pull-ups, it's been manifesting with me moving my head all over the place. But we're being more mindful and we're fixing these problems. Now, another manifestation of the monkey mind has been in these dips today. The form has not been consistent rep to rep. I started off the first rep and I didn't do any kind of pause, and yet as the set progresses, I'm pausing longer and longer with every single rep, which makes absolutely no sense because that is literally making each rep harder. So once I watched the footage back, I had to cringe at myself a little bit and commit to improving that the next set. So I chose not to do any pause reps and just crank them out, full range of motion, while not absolutely bouncing like a completely deranged maniac. And I will say that the form consistency on each rep was much better than the last set. However, I'm still not completely satisfied with how much my body is wobbling around as I do these dips. Definitely need to work on just bracing and holding everything tighter together. Now moving on to the chest-supported T-bar row. Boy, this is a really, really handy machine because I genuinely don't want to do any bent over rows again as long as I live. I don't like the exercise. It forces me to use way too much of my legs, and if I don't, it just feels annoying and not as though it's not smoking my upper back as much as I wish it could. So this exercise is just a lifesaver because not just is the chest support creating way more stability, but the strength curve of this exercise means that it's actually way harder at the bottom, where it should be on rows. And we're complementing that with a cable row, one arm at a time, and I just love how this exercise makes the physique look, because it really puts into perfect contrast the fact that I'm way leaner than my body dysmorphia suggests, but yet I'm still not yet quite jacked enough to consider myself a full master at the gym, if you can call it that. So right now, I'm not going to try to pretend to be anyone I'm not. I'm literally just going to share with you exactly what I'm doing to get to my goals, in the hopes that it will also help you get to your goals. Now you might be wondering, why am I using a two-handled V-bar with only one hand when I can just use a regular D-handle? Well, it's because it's way more solid, it's iron, it doesn't rotate and doesn't feel like it's going to slip out of my freaking hands. It just feels incredible. And the fact that it's a bit counterbalanced, I don't know, it adds a certain sensation to the movement that is hard to replicate with just a regular single handle. But anyway, we're going obviously taking these to complete and utter failure. No reps are left in reserve, because that's just the way I train. I leave reps in reserve for only stiff-legged deadlifts. Maybe that's another fault of mine. Maybe the fact that I know how to train hard doesn't always mean I should. But hey, I'm doing what doesn't just reward me with gains, but rewards me mentally. Next things next, we're absolutely going to demolish the rear delts with some flies, some reverse flies. Now, this is an exercise where it's really, really easy to start adding weight, and then by the time you watch your sets back, you start to realise that, shit, the form got all fucked up, and I'm not even really emphasising the rear delts anymore. And this is a tendency that I definitely have. As you can see, the upper back sort of Perry's rhomboid region is working pretty significantly here, because it's just a very developed movement for me. So it's really, really hard to separate that from the movement of the rear delts. But that's exactly what I'm working on with this exercise. And I'm doing it so that I completely come across the body. I stretch all the way to basically have my left hand crossing my right shoulder. And my goodness, it might not look like my rear delts are being that activated. I don't know, it might be the angle or just the way the exercise looks, but they are absolutely fried from just hammering them in that deep stretch position. If I was doing this on a pec deck machine, then I probably would be able to get a better contraction at the top of the movement, where you'd be able to see my rear delts pop more. But because I'm using the cable, there's a lot more freedom of movement. I can manipulate the angle of my arm to get that just nuclear stretch on the rear delts that makes them ridiculously sore, sting, and just suffer while the set is going. And we're going to see what happens, but my hypothesis is that this is going to be one of those exercises that just makes my shoulders look way more 3D than they ever have. But my goodness, it's angles like these that really feed my body dysmorphia, that makes me want to bulk as quickly as possible just to get my arms looking bigger. And hey, everything happens for a reason. I used to always skip arm training or just half-ass it because I was told that compound movements are enough, just get stronger, push, good bench press and pull-ups and you get big arms. Yeah, guess what happened? That didn't fucking work, did it? And also the fact that I am a 6'2" lanky guy, it just means that I have a lot more space to fill out. But that also means that they're just going to look that much more impressive when I finally do get those coveted, mythical 18-inch arms. So we're finishing the workout with some forearm training, and I decide to go dead hangs because just what other muscle is actually working apart from the forearms? The only thing that is actually letting the weight dangle is the forearms. And I don't know if you noticed that, but my grip is literally slipping out of this because the bar is greasy and my hands are sweaty, and I just can't hold for as long as I possibly can because I'm just slipping out. So I decide this ain't it. It's time to chalk up, ask a fellow gym bro to borrow some chalk, have a nice conversation, make a new friend, and also just hang on for way longer. And so I managed to almost do 2 minutes on this iteration once I've chalked up. I didn't even get to 1 minute before, but that just goes to show the difference that having a firmer grip can make. And honestly, less than 2 minutes is not great. I'll be honest, I should be at about 3 minutes. I've realised I keep saying, I should, way too much. I will get 3 minutes, no problem. Now, reverting back to my earlier point when I said that this was an entirely a forearm exercise, if you don't use straps, some people would argue to that, oh yeah, but aren't you stretching the lats? Not really. The lats are actually completely disengaged when you bring yourself to a full dead hang and you actually let your shoulders come loose. And that's exactly why this is such an amazing rehab exercise when your pardon me, my goodness, when your shoulders are feeling a little funky and your lower back is a bit tight, or even if you've injured it, this is just a go-to decompression tool for making you feel loose as a goose. However, I'm not using it for that purpose. I'm using it for the purpose of building big, bulbous, juicy forearms, because that is a part of my body that is particularly dismal. Not just because, again, I have long arms, but because I haven't isolated them almost my entire history of training. And when I have, it's been very sporadic and chaotic and not consistent. So I'm determined to fix that. I'm determined to get big, bulbous, juicy forearms so that when I roll up my sleeves, the ladies, they look at me and they're like, damn man, that is a man who can handle his shit. And for that very purpose, I'm then doing these pronation twists, which is sort of an arm wrestling movement that I stole from those absolute freaks who have even more bulbous, juicy forearms than their upper arms, which is quite ridiculous, but it works, man. It freaking works. And after this and doing the dead hangs, my forearms were absolutely cooked. And that concludes today's session of chest, back and forearms. Gym session has been complete, but I still have about an hour before work. So what do? We come to a beautiful, beautiful field where the sun is shining and get into an even higher frequency level of consciousness through some breath work. What I'm doing right here is called funnel breathing, where essentially I'm starting by sucking through a straw, like filling my belly, and as the breath moves up my body and into my chest, I expand my mouth to accommodate this extra air. And now I'm doing a double double inhale, like a sharp double inhale, and then just relaxed exhale. That's called Sufi breathing. And it looks weird. I can't lie. There are people walking around and they're obviously staring at me. I don't blame them. However, this just hits different. This feels so good, especially once you actually connect with the moment and fully give your awareness to each breath, because that entirely determines how much just feeling of elation you'll feel going through this ritual, how present you are, and how much of your focus you're actually putting in to the task at hand. And that applies to everything. That applies to your training, to your work, to literally every single aspect of life that you want to level up. Focus is the ultimate multiplier, and only once you apply 100% concentrated effort can you actually push yourself and test the limits of your capacity. Now, coming back to the breath work, this is usually done seated down, and I chose to reject that conventional advice because I get way more depth of breath when I'm standing. It just makes this exercise hit so much harder. I always know how amazing this routine is going to make me feel, and yet I procrastinate about it because I tell myself, I just need to be more productive, I need to get actual work done. When every single time I do this, I realize that the work I do becomes more potent the more I work on myself. So now I sit down for some breath retention and I do 5 rounds of this exact process. Wow, I feel so elated. Genuinely feel high as fuck. And I didn't go as deep as I could have because I still have a bit of a cough, and so every single time I had that breath retention where I had to just relax and hold. I wasn't able to because that's when the coughing began. Nonetheless, still effective. Always glad that I do this, but I've got about half an hour before I have to start work. Meaning, I have half an hour to edit this video, do a little voiceover at the parts that need voiceovering, and then eat my first proper meal of the day. I have an absolute fuck ton of food with me. Literally everything that I have to eat today. And we're starting with the main event, the most delicious and filling, could even be argued the most nutritious food that I have with me, which is a kilogram of sweet potato and 500 grams of beef mince. And I know it doesn't look very appealing to you right now, but my hypothesis, my philosophy on food aesthetics is it's stupid. It tastes the same no matter how pretty it looks for Instagram.